Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. One-time, big-time quarantine. That is the call of a public health expert to the government in order to bring down the numbers of COVID-19 cases in the country. But if the National Task Force Against COVID-19 is to be asked, Metro Manila is ready to revert to the less restrictive general community quarantine after August 18. Jel Santos has this report.
At least on the medical side of the current pandemic, the Philippines is well equipped to extend the existing quarantine beyond August 18. In an interview with MB Now via Zoom, public health expert Dr. Tony Leachon sees a need to go on with the modified enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila and neighboring provinces for us to get a serious shot at bringing down the numbers of COVID-19 cases. According to Leachon, those tasked to handle the crisis has put in place an efficient structure that would make them cope with the rigors of tracing, testing, and eventually treating COVID-19 patients.
Kasi dapat natin tandaan, the second 100 days, we are more prepared. Kasi we have more people, we have more activities na nagawa na. Ang concern ko lang right now ay yung execution. But since you have a point person na pwede maging accountable, perhaps yung agility masasagot na hindi lahat dati dadaan kay Secretary Duque lahat. Ngayon, you have separate SARS na for each of the particular preventive measures.
While he is well aware of the effects of a longer lockdown to the economy, Leachon believes putting more premium to health would be more beneficial to the country in the long run.
Ako health ako always over economy. Kasi the economy, baliwala yan kung lahat tayo nagkakasakit, kaya nga ang kasabihan, health is wealth.
But on the side of the government, National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chairman Delphine Lorenzana said that Metro Manila is ready to revert to the less restrictive general community quarantine after August 18. In a television interview Monday morning, Lorenzana noted that COVID-19 cases yesterday has dropped to 3,000. Down from about 6,000 the previous days. This, Lorenzana said, is a good indication that the government is in control of the situation. Lorenzana added that the government has already identified the areas which have the most number of infections and will only focus on those areas. President Duterte placed Metro Manila and 4 provinces under MECQ from August 4 to August 18, following a call for a timeout from the medical community. From MB Now, this is Jel Santos reporting.
Some private schools have closed down due to effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Others have decided to open despite a small number of enrollees but had to sacrifice the quality of their programs. Manila Bulletin's Dennis Principe tells us more.
The latest school year is set to open this August 24, and most public schools have the least issue when it comes to funding, what with the government backing them up. Such cannot be said for private schools that had to fend for themselves to go on with their operations, and it is not helping their cause that only 27% have enrolled across 17 regions as of late July. Several private schools have closed down due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this has become even more pronounced with the education system now being forced to shift into blended and distance learning. While other private schools have resorted to slashing their fees, some, including Diliman Preparatory School, decided to maintain their rates as they could not afford to sacrifice their quality. In an interview with MB Now, DPS President and former Senator Ana Dominique Nikki Coseteng maintained that they need to preserve a certain level of what they typically offer to students and uphold their integrity.
What we're charging is what we believe the child, what we will bring the child to a level where he's going to be competitive in the future workplace or the future environment. Most of us today don't even know what that future will be. Most of us today will not even know what that workplace will be. The point is, our child must be ready because there's no turning back. You cannot bring him back again, to third grade or fifth grade. If he missed out on something, then that's too bad.
At the moment, there are private schools that have lowered their tuition just to entice students to enroll with them this school year. The problem is these schools are forced to downsize not only their staff but also in equipment, particularly the quality of their materials.
You cannot just use a simple computer. You cannot go out and buy the cheapest one and expect to be able to deliver exactly as the school, learning management system requires. So all of this needs a lot of upgrade, number one, the training, etc., and the configuration.
Still, Constantine believes students in general would be able to adjust well and eventually enjoy this new normal of basic education in the Philippines.
So the teachers have really been engaged in a lot of seminars or webinars, as you call them now, and to prepare them, because it's quite interesting actually. I think the students will have more fun now that it's like this. And well, it took a pandemic for us to speed everything up. We've been doing quite a number of these things already.
For MB Now, this is Dennis Principe reporting.
5 more Filipinos were reported injured in the devastating twin explosions that rocked Beirut last week, according to the Department of Foreign Affairs. The total number of injured Filipinos are now 47. All of these are not life-threatening, according to Philippine Embassy in Lebanon. The DFA is expected to repatriate this week the remains of 4 Filipinos who died in the blast, along with some 400 OFWs through a chartered flight. 2 more Filipinos in the explosion are still unaccounted for or missing as of this time. Meanwhile, the Philippine Embassy in Beirut has announced that it will begin to receive repatriation requests for the free voluntary mass repatriation program from August 18 to September 1. This is to accommodate others who were not able to enlist in the August 16 repatriation flight to Manila. There are currently an estimated 33,000 Filipinos in Lebanon, many of them working as household service workers. Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo has urged actress Angel Luxine to use her fame to rally public cooperation to fight the coronavirus pandemic instead of just criticizing the government. Panelo reminded Luxine that the enemy is the coronavirus, not the government, after noticing her supposed penchant to find fault with the government's actions. In a recent Instagram post, Luxine expressed support for the country's health workers after President Duterte expressed his disappointment towards the medical community for airing grievances in public. The actress wrote that COVID-19, not the people, is the enemy. She added that health workers need support, not intimidation or threats. The medical community earlier called for a recalibrated government response after the country's healthcare system has become overwhelmed with surge in cases of infections. The president responded last week when he agreed to return Manila and 4 nearby provinces under modified enhanced community quarantine from August 4 to 18.
Angel, ikaw sabi mo, ang kalaban hindi ang health workers. Ang kalaban yung virus. O tama ka doon. Bakit? Kung yun ang kalaban, ba't nilalabanan ng gobyerno? Lahat ng mga banat mo puro sa gobyerno. Ang dapat labanan natin yung virus. Dapat gamitin mo dahil ikaw naman kilala at hinahangaan. Gamitin mo na manawagan ka na mag-cooperate tayo. Hindi yung puro banat ka, ginagaya mo yung mga kritiko.
In Metro News, Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto urged residents experiencing COVID-19 symptoms to call their response hotline. Rizal Provincial Government offers free RT-PCR test to dialysis patients. And Mayor Binay orders probe of alleged discrimination of a COVID-positive patient in Makati City. More in this report.
Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto urged residents experiencing symptoms of coronavirus disease to immediately call their COVID-19 hotlines so they can be tested. According to Soto, the most common symptoms experienced by some infected patients he has talked to was the loss of taste. The most common symptoms experienced by those possibly infected with COVID-19 are fever, dry cough, and tiredness. Among the serious symptoms of the disease are difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, chest pain, or loss of speech. Those experiencing symptoms may contact the Pasig's COVID-19 Operations Center at 8643-0000 or at 0961-582-5019. The Rizal Provincial Government has started offering free coronavirus disease testing to residents of the province undergoing dialysis. They announced on Facebook page that it started testing residents of Rizal undergoing dialysis starting Saturday, August 8 at the multi-purpose hall of the Rizal Provincial Capital. The patients are required to wear the dialysis patient's tag and bring with them the case investigation form, which they can secure from the respective dialysis center. Rizal Provincial Officer Anthony Mateo told Manila Bulletin that the free COVID-19 real-time RT-PCR testing is expected to continue every weekend to ensure that all patients on dialysis in the province are tested. After a coronavirus disease positive nurse in Makati City was reportedly kicked out of her boarding house, Mayor Abigail Abby Binay ordered a probe on the alleged discrimination incident. Binay reminded residents of the City Ordinance number 2020-087, which prohibits all persons residing and working in the city from stigmatizing or discriminating against persons who have contracted any infectious disease or those suspected to have been infected. The ordinance clearly prohibits all people living and working in Makati of imposing restrictions on housing or lodging such as unilateral termination of lease contracts and forced ejectment. Under the said ordinance, the penalty for the first and second offenses is 5,000 pesos, while the third and succeeding offenses is 5,000 and or imprisonment of 1 year. The Philippine Red Cross reportedly rescued the nurse who was roaming the streets of Makati after her landlady ordered her to vacate her boarding house.
And here are the top news in other parts of the country. 16-day-old baby beats COVID-19 in Bataan. Cops nab 459 most wanted persons in Iloilo. And IATFs confirm local transmission in Lanao del Sur. More from this report.
9 patients, including an infant, were added to the list of those who have beaten coronavirus disease in Bataan province, bringing the number of total recoveries to 292. The infant was a 16-days-old baby boy from Abukay. The other recovered patients were 3 from Dinalupihan, 2 from Limay, and 1 each from Mariveles, Orani, and Balanga City. On the other hand, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases rose to 489 after 9 tested positive for the dreaded virus. Despite its workforce being kept busy by the nation's response to the coronavirus disease for several months, the Iloilo Police Provincial's Office has been able to arrest 459 most wanted persons since January 7. Based on IPPO records, the arrest of 459 wanted individuals was 7% higher than those made for the same period of last year, when only 429 were arrested. Meanwhile, in the first 3 days of August, 12 police stations delivered on their accomplishments with the arrest of 20 wanted persons. The Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases in Lanao del Sur and Marawi City declared on Sunday the local transmission of the disease after confirming that the 21 individuals with no known exposure or travel history have been infected. The province and the city's IATF are now intensifying contact tracing and isolation of close contact of the confirmed cases. The task force appealed to the public to strictly comply with the minimum health standards and stay at home to contain the spread of the virus.
In world news, New Zealand marked 100-day no coronavirus record. Death toll in South Korea continues to rise due to landslide and torrential rains. And an open-air opera performance launches to cope with pandemic in Britain. Let's watch this report.
New Zealand marked 100 days with no recorded cases of coronavirus in the community on Sunday, but health officials warned there was no room for complacency. New Zealand, with a population of 5 million, has won widespread praise for its effective handling of the coronavirus since closing its borders on March 19. The World Health Organization has hailed the country as an example to others for having successfully eliminated community transmission. There are still 23 active cases, but all were detected at the border when entering the country and are being held in managed isolation facilities. The government has maintained the prospect of a second wave remains a possibility and is pushing for all households to keep emergency supply kits, including masks. At least 30 people dead and 12 missing as landslide and flooding triggered by days of heavy rains in South Korea. Torrential rains has wreaked havoc across the country since the beginning of the month, but nearly half of the deaths occurred in the past 3 days, according to the Ministry of the Interior and Safety. Authorities have issued landslide warnings for 24 regions. At least 667 landslides have been reported so far in August. More heavy rain is expected to cause damage in flood-hit areas as Typhoon Jangmi, the season's fifth typhoon, is forecast to strike the southern region from Monday, according to the Korea Meteorological Administration. After having to cancel its renowned classic music festival due to COVID pandemic, the Glyndebourne Opera, famous for its setting in rural southern England, is preparing to launch an open-air opera performance in its gardens. The company has adapted one-act French farce by Jacques Offenbach, Madame de la Hale, in a version that takes place in a post-pandemic Paris, to ensure that the actors on stage can respect social distancing. Glyndebourne's artistic director says the launch is a positive moment but stresses that the whole ecosystem of performing arts industry is devastated.
In entertainment, actor John Regala is now recuperating from liver cirrhosis in the National Kidney Transplant Institute Hospital. According to a post by actor Chucky Dreyfus, John is receiving anti-inflammatory steroids to address the excruciating pain he's feeling caused by the gout. Dreyfus also said that John still faces a very long road to recovery and is asking for continuous prayers and support for the actor. And in sports, rising tennis player Miko Ayala had another unforgettable training session a few days after hitting with world number 2 Rafael Nadal. This time, the 18-year-old had a chance hitting with world number 7 and former Grand Slam doubles champion Caroline Garcia. Ayala posted on his Facebook account a video of him and Garcia at the hard court inside the Rafa Nadal Tennis Academy in Spain. The video was originally posted on one of Nadal's Instagram fan pages, which has more than 57,000 followers. Garcia is a pro French player who won the 2016 French Open doubles title with fellow French partner Kristina Mladenovic. She currently has 7 career single titles and went as far as the quarterfinals in the 2017 French Open. Ayala and his sister Alex have been training at the Rafa Nadal Tennis Academy, with Miko expected to continue his tennis career at Penn State University in the prestigious US NCAA Division I League. And for some good news, San Miguel Corporation has extended its free toll privilege and fuel subsidy for medical frontliners facing an uphill battle against COVID-19. SMC's free toll program for medical frontliners, which began at the height of the ECQ in March, has reached 53.49 million pesos in waived fees due to date. SMC President and Chief Operating Officer Ramon S. Ang said the program will continue indefinitely in support of the medical community. Some 9,260 medical frontliners have availed of free toll RFID stickers, which can be used at all SMC infrastructure-operated expressways, namely Star Tollway, South Luzon Expressway, the Skyway System, NAIA Expressway, and the Tarlac-Pangasinan-La Union Expressway. And those are the news on Web today, August 10, 2020. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin, celebrating its 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.